recording. Otherwise, I just edited it out.
Okay. Exciting.
So
a couple of things. One,
mhm.
there was that debate that occurred, and at that debate for the conservative candidates, I've had some friends come ask me that there was a thing that was said about me that I vote with progressives 96% of the time. I have no idea how they came up with that statistic or what they did.
Okay. That's easy.
Yeah.
Do you want to address
my myth versus I put in, I'm looking for the myth document is. In my myth versus fact document, I started putting down kind of the myth I said is Trish always votes against what I want because I didn't want to hit that one too head on. I'd rather it be just a little hidden. And then I put that, okay, so what have I voted for? And so that's what I did is I just pull up my myth versus facts, just look at the things that I voted for to talk about the different factors that went into that vote. So that's what I'm looking at.
Now, okay. A couple of things. So let's open with an address, a question towards that progressive vote statistic.
Yeah, can we not say progressive vote though? Can we
what do you want to call it?
I don't can we just I have here's my myth. Trish always votes against what I want. So
wait a minute. That's a third party speaking. In other words, I'm Scott saying, I don't like that Trish. She always votes against what I personally want, not against what you want.
Right.
Okay. Where did the comment about the percentage of voting come from?
A conservative debate.
What did it say specifically?
I vote with progressives 96% of the time. I don't want to give that life, but that was what it said.
Okay, then the way that you phrase the question is, Trish, I've heard said that you vote with a block something like at the time. Is that true? You just genericize it.
Can we not say 90%? Can we just say that I vote with particular party platforms?
The further away you get from that number, the less directly you're addressing it. And we want to tie those two things together so that anyone who saw the figure, she votes with progressives 96% of the time, recognizes that you are addressing it without specifically addressing it.
Okay. Can we break this then into 2 Tuesdays with Trish? So you have 2 in the thing. One about the
sure
block, and then the other one can be when you can mess up a vote. They both kind of play off each other, but they can be 2 different things.
Okay. So let's let me do our 1, 2, 3 here. So we have TWT. Would this be the third one we've done or the second one?
This is going to be the second one.
Okay. So TWT2. Oops, that's an L. Question 1. Vote. Block. 96% of the time. What is the, if we do 2 questions per thing, what do you want question 2 to be for Tuesdays with Trish number 2? Because we can do 2 questions although if you want, we can just more episodes.
Let's see. I mean, I think 1 question can actually be kind of long. I mean, you can do a point B in it or do a follow-up.
Well, it's okay. I mean, look, one of the things that I think that's important for you to ask you the question about this voting block, and your response can be as long and as heartfelt as you want.
Yeah.
Right? And you can talk about virtually anything as long as you remember to answer the question immediately.
Yep.
What you're going to tell me the answer, then tell me what the answer is, and then tell me the answer again.
Yeah.
That way I know your stance right away and can watch whatever. All right. So we'll just do this one at a time. So that's going to be the entirety of Tuesdays with Trish number 2.
Okay.
And then we do Tuesdays with Trish number 3. Like, have you ever had, legitimate question, in your time on the board, have you ever cast a vote that you really didn't want to, but you did it because it was right for the district?
Yes.
That's where we need to go.
Okay.
So maybe that question, Tuesdays with Trish number 3, something along the lines of, can you describe the hardest vote you ever had to cast.
Yes.
And that's a perfect platform for you to say, I had all these facts. I didn't want to believe them. I wanted to vote this other way, but the best thing to do for the district was vote the way that I did.
Yeah.
Now, okay, do you have water on the table? So if you get a scratchy throat, you can turn your head and take a sip. And I'm going to run to the men's room, which will take seconds, and then we'll go. Be right back. Oh, that was my knee. Hello. We have these. They have these sound booths, these isolation booths for phone calls, and they're built on the ricketiest, noisiest platform I've ever sat in. It's like being on an old train in Russia. Okay. Okay, where are we in the thing here? Are you ready? Okay. So this is me. This is for me, not for you. Okay, 8-minute mark, and we are going live in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Scott Serboff. Welcome to Tuesdays with Trish. It's September of 2022, and I am pleased to yet again introduce the namesake of our program, Trish Bode. Hi, Trish.
Hi.
So we're going to jump right in. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I heard that you vote a certain block of voters around 96% in the time you've been on the school board. Is that true?
I have no idea where the methodology or calculations are coming from, but I do find it interesting because around campaign season, I think there are political parties that start to look at that information and try to figure out things. I'm not sure how they do it because, as you might know, this race is nonpartisan, and I am standing firm on that. I am nonpartisan. I represent all voters, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, whatever voter you are out there. Your kiddo's education is the most important to me. What I vote on and what I end up voting with is things that are going to support our student education. So I've done votes. When you're looking at like my history of votes and you're saying, well, she votes with this group or that group, I think the most important thing is go look at my votes. Go see what I've voted on. I voted on teacher raises, 7% teacher raises. Just last year, I did a 5% teacher raise. Every year, we vote on the academic calendar. I vote on our strategic learning plan. I voted on our mission, vision, and values. I voted on our not only our district equity and inclusion policy, but also our curriculum, making sure parent engagement policy happens. So I feel like I've kind of voted consistently right down looking at what do our kids need, not out of any certain block.
It almost sounds like someone wants to make it seem as if your voting decision is just based on the wind. You don't consult a group that's voting one way and you just kind of go.
Yes, I think sometimes there might be out there those myths that think that you just vote somebody else's platform or somebody else's thoughts and not really looking at the information that is in front of you as a trustee. And you have to vote your district. The district, when I say vote your district, I don't mean vote your party. I mean vote what does your district need to continue to service every student and meet every student's needs.
Understand. So when you're looking at these votes, how does a school board candidate, but how does a school board member find the facts that he or she uses to ultimately decide which way they're going to vote on an issue?
Yeah, so of course, as a school board trustee member, you are that key bridge between your community and constituents, if you will, and your district. And so being available via email, phone, coffee chats, meetings, meet with your community members, your parents, your teachers. So there's that informal gathering of information, but then there's also doing the research. You get your board book put up, you know the information is coming up. We have an agenda planning calendar, so you know for the year some of the big topics that'll be coming up. And then when you get information from the district, because we get information weekly from the district, reports, audits, surveys, things that are rolled out, you continue to amass this like knowledge-based collection that you're going to dig into every time you go into a decision.
So it's not just a bunch of people sitting around a table arbitrarily making decisions based on what day it is?
Well, not for me. I hope, and I haven't seen that happen in our school district. Not in Leander ISD. We're very intentional about how do we represent the kiddos' needs and get the kiddos the very best that they need for their learning.
This is probably why they pay you all that money.
No, they don't pay me any money, but it's community, right? You really need to be in it for the public service. Somebody said, how much do you get paid for this position? I said, absolutely nothing. But let's be honest, I get something out of this. We all do. Our kiddos that graduate go on and they shape our future. And so I think it's the best 401k plan out there.
Very nice, everyone. This has been Tuesdays with Trish, the slightly shorter version. I would encourage you to go to the website as listed in the red bar below, Trish or LISD.com. And as always, I urge you to get out and vote, whether it's with the early voting block on October 24th or during the general election day of November 8th. So with that, we'll see you next time. That just tells me where to cut the camera because we go right into the next one. I'm not going to step into this one at all. This is going to be a good one for you. And try to take us on a journey. Take us on a journey. And you do this thing when you smile, it causes your eyes to narrow. Like it's not bad, but if you feel that way, you might consider leaning forward just a smidge because it's also because of the camera angle. Okay. You ready? Okay, so we have Tuesdays with Trish number 3. Oh, yeah. Shame on you. Also, make sure your phone is not on the table. The vibration sets off the speaker. Check and see if how she's doing. When you're ready to leave, let me know. You can lock the door. I'll set the alarm. Dog walker. Okay, you ready? Take a sip of water or something if you need to.
I have a cat that's trying to figure out how to get up here to get on my lap. So I'm just.
That's okay. If he or she does, it is a cute image. Only a baby would be better.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Break for number 3. Tuesdays with Trish, take 3. I'm sorry, it's Tuesdays with 3. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tuesdays with Trish. I'm your host, Scott Saraboff. It's September of 2022. And I am again, namesake, Trish Bode. Hi, Trish. So, for this episode of our little broadcast, I got a tough one for you. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'd like you to tell us about the hardest vote you have ever had to cast and why it was hard.
There's been a few hard votes, but the one that comes to mind first, because I've had to do it repeatedly, is our hazardous routes. And so when you see hazardous routes on an agenda item, you're like, whatever, and you can move on. But it's bus routes. It's bus service for our kiddos to be able to get students to school. And there's a rule in place that if you're under 2 miles, then bus service is discontinued unless the route is hazardous. And so when we have those types of decisions, there are a lot of factors and a lot of information that you go in to look at, because as much as I would love, and I've asked this several times, of how could we just get bus service for everyone, finances and budget will not allow for us to be able to hold a bus route for every single person who needs it under those 2 miles. We've looked at the numbers. That's one of the things I started doing when I got on the board back in 2015. I thought, oh, this will be an easy fix. If you just took it out of its information, in other words, if you just said, oh, here's a raw number, oh, well, there's this budget number somewhere in there, we could make it work. Okay, but then consider that 85, now almost 88% of our budget is going to payroll. So anytime you want to expand or pay for any other services or anything else, then you're going to impact payroll of your teachers that are in the classroom. So all these decisions have ripple effects. So in 2015, I knew when I first ran, here's going to be the perfect answer. If you take it out of context, once you start putting it in the system of the district and see all the different elements, there's a whole lot more to it. And so we looked at things as we've gone throughout the years. One we've looked at is the surveys we do to determine if a route is hazardous or not. And I still have questions about that. And we'll come up every year and we do tweaks and we keep refining to try to make this a better instrument. The other thing that hazardous routes impacts are the bus drivers, because the more routes you need, the more drivers you need. And if you don't have enough routes to get all your kids that you've already counted that are outside, right, that live further than 2 miles, then trying to reduce that is going to be an issue. So that's a hard vote. It has been and will continue to be. It hit home. My neighborhood was in a hazardous routes area. And so I voted to discontinue the bus route for our area. Not because it was my favorite thing to do or because I'd make any great friends doing that, but because our district is 200 square miles. We have to figure out the health of the whole district.
Okay. I didn't stop you in the middle of any of that for only one reason. You might have said something that was super good that we wanted to keep.
Mm-hmm.
So I purposefully didn't. I'm gonna ask you again.
Okay.
And this time, what I want you to do is I want you to, like you just said, right? So pick in 20. How many have you voted on that issue? Pretty much every,
except for the COVID year.
What's the most recent?
Well, we're getting ready to vote on it again, and
that doesn't count because that's obviously not recent.
It was last year. So last year in the fall.
Oh, really?
Well, it comes a little before. Yeah, I have to look. COVID ate my.
I don't want 2015. It's too long. It's too far back. I want like 2019 or 2020.
Let's see. Because they usually do them. You vote on them like in the mid-fall or something like that, and then it starts. May is when it comes around, but you have them. It's a process. So it starts in the fall. You get to see the information, then it comes before you, and then you find.
That's okay, but you look. So
every year. So
if I look in 2020, I voted to I don't know what the right word is,
In
discontinue.
2019,
In 2022, I voted to discontinue bus service in my own neighborhood, which
yeah.
meant in 2020, I voted to discontinue bus service into my own neighborhood, which meant not only were my own children not going to be able to ride the bus, but my neighbors' children would not be able to ride the bus. Then you need to tell me why you made the decision. Simplistically, I voted that way because of X. Then you explain it.
Okay.
What is a hazardous, like, why did you vote against, why did you have to discontinue service into your own neighborhood? So if you hire a bus driver, the money has to come from somewhere, and that could mean one less teacher.
Right.
But you were talking about hazardous routes and stuff, and it was horrifyingly confusing. What was the
public education? We don't say what we mean.
What was the reason that you had to vote against having a bus route in your own neighborhood? Like, what is a hazardous route? You said something about 2 miles, and
yeah,
just tell me.
Discontinue service. So you have to vote on. You have to approve their discontinuation of service.
Why would the service be discontinued?
Because it's not deemed as a hazardous route.
And what makes something a hazardous route?
A very long survey tool. Things like sidewalks are not yet complete and they haven't been built. Then it would be most likely if you don't have sidewalks.
For whom is it hazardous? The driver, the kids,
the walkers. Yeah, the kids would be walking to school. You can't walk because you don't have sidewalks to get you there.
Okay, now I'm confused again. Are you saying you voted against your own neighborhood because it was not a hazardous route?
That's right. They determined it wasn't a hazardous route.
Okay, now we're on to something. So in 2020, I voted to discontinue bus service into my own neighborhood. Well, why would you do that? Because the kids in our neighborhood, including my own, were perfectly safe to walk to school.
Yeah, but if I say that, dude, it's on Quinlan Park. Like, people have accidents on the road, but that's not in our survey.
That's okay, but then you look, we're trying to get you to say you voted, you really had to consider the vote, right? So in 2020, I voted to discontinue bus service to my own neighborhood, which obviously included my own kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why did you do that? Okay, look, and I'll ask you, I want to say, you stop. I said, well, why would you vote that way? You say, the district has a really long survey that we use to determine whether or not kids can safely walk to school or not. Broken sidewalks, whatever you want to say, right? Mm-hmm. And it comes down to a determination. Is it a hazardous route for the walker, or is it not a hazardous route for the walker? And the district survey said that my neighborhood was not hazardous for the walkers. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to vote to discontinue bus service. Forget my own kids. I want my neighbors to still like me. But if I had voted against discontinuing the bus service, in my view, and what the evidence and facts told me, was that we'd be spending money unnecessarily on a bus driver, which means we had to take money from somewhere else. And you're done. Going into the long explanation of what is and isn't hazardous, et cetera, is just a way to get people to stop watching.
It's just people get really emotional about their bus routes. Maybe I should pick another one.
No, I think this is a great one, because you're a parent too. Why shouldn't you be emotional about the bus routes? But you made the decision that is best for you. And you can think about it for a second and frame it in any manner you wish. For example, look, boys and girls that are watching, think about what a bus route is. It's a bus driver, and it's a bus, and it's gas, et cetera, right? These are all fixed costs. And where you're balancing this versus this versus this, a bus driver versus a teacher versus a custodian. They're all salaries. And if you think about it like that, and you're on the school board, there's going to potentially be times where you run into a scenario, you're voting for keeping a teacher or hiring another teacher, which means you're voting against hiring another bus driver in a lot of ways. And I had to deal with that in 2020.
No, but I'm wondering if it's too touchy. Like for this neighborhood and for some, it's going to be super controversial.
Okay, then if that's the case, then what else can you give me that you voted against your own interests in doing? I mean, I like this one because it's super obvious, but I wanted the facts told me I had to vote yes, even though in my gut I wanted to vote no.
What about when we did the academic calendar and we had half days off for Wednesday?
Okay.
Would that work?
That's every bit as good. Well, which way did you vote?
I voted to support that calendar.
And why was that a vote against what you thought was? Would you have preferred to vote no?
I would have preferred to vote no.
Why?
Because I have to figure out how to help my child continue their education and go pick them up. And
then why did you vote yes?
Because our teachers needed it.
You put what was best for the teachers above what was best for the parents, because in the end, what's best for the teachers is best for the kids.
Gives the kids the help they need.
That's just as good. And if you're more comfortable with it, then do that. When was that? What year?
This is a COVID year, 2020 calendar.
Okay. So then your answer to the question is in 2020, during the
2021, right? Because 2020 is COVID year. So 2021.
Yeah. So your answer is during the 2021 school calendar, I voted in favor of half-day Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I really didn't want to vote in favor of half-day Wednesdays because I'm a parent, and like you're watching the video, that meant I had to figure out how to help my child in that half day of Wednesday, educationally, being home, whatever. But I looked at the facts, and what the facts told me was blah, blah, blah about the teachers. Be super concise, give me the answer, and then you can go to town for as much as you want, and we can, but I want you to hit those points. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, so in 3, 2, 1. So, Trish, I have a hard one for you today. Are you ready?
Yes.
I want you to tell me the hardest vote you ever had to cast on the school board.
Well, there's been a few. One that comes to mind right now is in 2021, for the 2021-2022 calendar school year. We adopted as a board half days on Wednesday. And the challenge with that is, as a parent, why would you give us
stop. Remember, in 2021, there was a vote for the school calendar.
Yep.
Right? There was a vote for half day Wednesday in the school calendar.
Yeah.
I'm more direct. In 2021, I voted yes for half day Wednesdays. I really wanted to vote no.
Okay.
And humanize yourself. I really wanted to vote no because I'm a parent, and I would have to, like all of you, and I think it's important you say that. Like all of you,
Okay.
you follow. Yep. And 3, 2, 1. Trish, I have a hard one for you today. Are you ready?
Okay.
What's the hardest vote you ever had to cast while you've been on the school board?
There's been a few. But one of the ones that comes quickly to mind is for the 2021-2022 school year, the board approved Wednesday early releases.
And how did you vote?
I voted in favor of Wednesday early releases.
Did you want to?
Not as a parent, no.
Well, then tell us why. Why did you vote yes for something that you...
Well, I voted yes because we had information in front of us as trustees. We had been digging through COVID information, what was going on in our workforce.
Stop.
Yep.
Stop. Why did you vote yes when you wanted to vote no? I voted yes because it was best for the teacher.
Oh, you want
Remember,
that? I'm sorry. Yeah,
I want you to give me the answer and then the explanation, right?
Okay.
So, ready?
Yep.
So, Trish, why did you vote yes for the half day Wednesday, early release Wednesday, when you really wanted to vote no?
Because as a trustee, when you looked at the information, was what our teachers needed, was what we needed to do to support our staff.
So you're saying you voted for what was best for the teachers because you would assume if it's good for the teachers, it helps your
Absolutely.
students.
Yeah.
Even though as a darn it, that means I'm going to have to figure out what to do with my kids on Wednesdays.
Well, yeah, and well, wouldn't I have loved having a half day on Friday? That could be interesting. But if you do it on Friday, then it's not taking care of the teachers the same way. Of course, what teachers would also want to stay in and do in-service and all the training and the things that were being required on Friday. So by doing it Wednesday, we had different needs for different grades. So, some of our teaching staff needed reading academies. Others needed time to do professional learning. So Wednesday.
So it sounds like Wednesday was, dare I say the word, a compromise.
It was.
To your point, you could have said, let's do a half day on Friday because everyone loves a half day Fridays. But that created problems of its own. And that ostensibly means you could have done a half day Mondays, but that also creates problems.
Yeah.
So looking at data gave you the insight to say, the best of all the bad choices, because there's only 5, is a half day Wednesday.
Correct. There was so much data to look at. How many minutes of instruction are kids getting? Are they still getting the learning that they need? But at the end of the day, when we're coming off of some of the situations and with some of the requirements from legislation, that Wednesday gave teachers the support they needed based on the information we had.
And I think you referenced a very important thing in your answer, which was there was a lot of data. So the lazy approach to vote, the responsible approach was to look at all of the data points and make a decision with all of the data points in hand. Would you agree?
Yes, and it's sometimes easy to take just one voice or one constituent or one thought, right? Students might need this, or parents might need this, or teachers might need this. Parents of high schoolers need something different from parents of elementary, or you might be a parent that has an elementary or a high school student. These are all different factors that you start weighing as you get ready to make a vote as a trustee. So if I had just taken it, it's easy to call it hindsight. Like, here's how I would have done it. But when you were in that moment and going into it, the information we had at the time, we had all these different pieces to look at. And if you had just taken one piece out of context, you would have probably done a different vote. You needed to pull it all together because they all have ripple effects and impacts.
Sure. And it doesn't seem to me that there's any way to make every parent happy or every teacher, because there would have been some teachers who preferred a different day. I can't imagine they all as a unified group wanted Wednesday.
Yeah, we had discussions again for this year of academic calendar, and we don't have the half days anymore because there are different regulations in place. Like, we got through our reading academies, we got through that, and now we have full day Wednesdays again.
When you have, let me ask you to comment on something for me as I jumped in front of you, but I have to ask. Sometimes public, they're not. I don't think they're all public, but you would know. Did you have public hearings about the half day Wednesdays? Yes or no?
All school board meetings are public.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay. So that means, did you hear people's opinions across the gamut of, I don't want a half day at a certain day?
Yes. We hear it. We hear it either in citizen comments. We hear it from the surveys that the district puts out. And then we can also hear it as individual trustees when we reach out, when the community reaches out to us.
So again, I think I want to highlight for people that are maybe voting for the first time for a school board trustee, or have decided this is something that they want to make their own cause celeb, which is, you're in a position where you cannot possibly please everyone, just like the other members of the board, all the time. You're constantly compromising.
Well, I've heard that compromise isn't a good word. So how about this? We're constantly looking for common ground, with the objective being, How do we keep that support for our students and student learning? How do we keep everybody on the same focus of our kiddos? And where's the common ground of how are we making all these different voices work together and match these voices and get voices what they need?
I know that Trish likes to stand on common ground, so I'll give that one to you. Trish Bode stands on common ground, but still, you're trying to do what's best for a group, not an individual. If you were doing that, you might have said personally, so I'll just vote the way that has worked best for me, even though I'm just one of 30,000+ mothers. Interesting. Very interesting. This, again, I think highlights the importance for you as a trustee and all of your colleagues that may be voted in for the first time, that there's a lot of facts involved in your decision making and that you have to consider each one of them prior to making the decision. This only takes you a few minutes a week, right?
No, it takes a lot. And it's a moving environment. It's not like you just learned that information and you keep using it over and over again. Because this time we looked at academic calendar, surveys told us different information. We had different data. We had reading academies completed. So now we had to look at things differently with different information in. So now you've got a different academic calendar.
It's a moving target each year?
Yes.
Okay, let me just say that again. It's a moving target each year. So you're saying that the decision you made this year might be completely different than one you make next year because the information underneath it has changed.
Correct.
Oh dear. I'm never running for school board. Just so I'm announcing now, I'm never running for school board. Trish, thank you very much. Everyone, you've heard just a tiny little smidgen of something we'll be discussing in a future Tuesdays, which is the life of a school board member, what Trish does as a trustee. But in the meantime, please remember to go to trishforlisd.com, the lovely URL down there in the red. Visit the school district's website if you have questions about individual issues, and be prepared because there's a lot of facts to absorb. Trish, thank you. And out. See, that was perfect. And this part of this is my fault. I need to engage you more. It takes you a couple of minutes to forget that and when you start riffing and your hands are moving and your face is moving, that's so good.
Okay.
It is. It's really, really, you're better when you're animated.
Thank you. I think, yeah.
No, you are. Well, because I think what happens with you psychologically is you're weak on that common ground. But when your passion starts to step in, you move away from that. Now, you don't do what I would do, which would involve a lot of bleeping and redoing and whatever, but you do start to push a little bit. And I think that's what I want see in you, is that little bit of passion. Like I said, your hands start moving and your face gets more animated. There was a great thing where you had one finger raised up in the air. You're like, and there's, I was like, no, that's rich. That's good.
Good. Okay. All right.
All right. So those are.
You didn't do the intro of here we are with another Tuesdays with Trish. Do you want that?
I can. We'll do one real quick just to say what did I say the last time that was the intro? I thought I did a second intro.
I don't remember.
But it's fine. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Tuesdays with Trish. I'm your host, Scott Serboff. It's September of 2022, and I am again pleased to welcome the namesake of our program, Trish Bode. Hi, Trish.
Hi.
Now we have a backup one.
Thank you.
So believe it or not, almost 40 minutes in, a good 20 of it is content, which means I can do some cutting here and actually probably get multiple, because the way you see how I'm in the camera view right now, if we change the camera view around so that it was this one or whatever, I can set it up so I have a camera only intro. It's just me, and then bring you in underneath, and that you can be saying whatever you want. So this was excellent. Very well done.
Awesome. I have a question to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just see all my books and stuff in the background. Can you Can anybody really zoom in and see all my titles?
No.
But I made sure to be careful about what's in there.
No, you can't. In fact, if you tried, by the time you got close enough to read, they would be blobby white pixels.
Okay.
You can hardly see them now.
Okay.
Like
good.
the one that's directly over the tip of your left shoulder, black on the cover. There's like a blue strip on the spine. I have no idea what that is. I see that its shelf is messy. If that makes you feel bad.
Yeah, it does. I put way too much in.
No, you're fine.
For later. So.
No, you can't see a darn thing about any of those titles. No idea. Okay.
All right.
So I will get these edited, and we'll go for the small blocks. And this was excellent. Good job.
Okay. Thank you so much.